How about you, Duarte? Do you see icons over there on the left?
I don't see them either. Yeah, no. Oh, now I do. You're talking about where you have the lever, the three people.
Yeah. Maybe
Yep.
did you have to like move your cursor over there, Regine? If you could try just putting your cursor over to that side over there, see if they pop out.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. If you could just click on the green three-headed circle talk bubble there.
Yeah, I see that.
Cool. If you load that up, I'm gonna see you then in our participant panel, and you'll see everybody. So Duarte, are you in Texas or Illinois today?
Illinois. Freezing in Illinois.
Do you have little ones behind the door and all that?
They are downstairs in front of the zombie box.
Aha.
They don't get much of it. Like yesterday, we only watched about 30 minutes of TV, and spending the whole weekend, we're only outside so much because of how cold it is. But we tried to do a lot of other things like chasing each other around the house. But that's the only way to really keep them quiet. So.
Yeah, I gotcha. So Regine, you clicked on that green circle, right?
I did. The icons disappeared.
Did they? If you could just roll your cursor over to that left.
Want me to click on the green circle again?
Click on it. Duarte, we actually have 4 others other than Regine that are registered. We'll see if they make it too.
Awesome. I hope they do.
So Regine, can you describe what do you see? If there's any change at all?
It's going through a processing mode. It's processing.
Maybe a little daisy wheel or loading circle.
And it brings me back to where I have to choose a Google my Google account.
If there's a choice, you want to definitely lean on your Google Gmail account. Will you see or at any time this week?
Sorry?
Regine, will you be running into Fran Pretty this week? I say Pretty. I know she got married. She probably has a different last name.
I worked with her last week. This week, I might see her on Friday. Okay. Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, we all really just trying to get you into the panel. Let's just see if I can point it out. Over there are like events, settings, moderators, participants. Do you see anything like that over there?
No, now it's loading.
Let's go through its course then. Duarte, did you crack a beer or any kind of iced tea or anything like that? It is happy hour time.
I got a hot tea, not iced tea.
Okay. Yeah. With the cold there in Illinois, I would only imagine. And what is the temperature right now up there?
It was warmer here than it was in Connecticut, so that's an exciting thing. We got plenty of family there. So it is 31.
I think it's cold just it's cold just for me to say 31. But you know, we got that in Florida. I don't know if you saw. We got down to the lower 30s.
Last week.
Right, last week. It was actually kind of awesome. Did you enjoy that, Regine?
Oh yeah, I'm from New York, so it was nice to feel like wintry sort of while it was 30 degrees down here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now it brings me to a section I see event settings, participants.
If you want,
I'm on queue now.
Well, if you want to just accept any of the prompts, you're in a very trusted environment here with Google, and so Duarte, any
I'm sorry, you were cutting.
Just asking, was it as easy getting into the room as you would?
You were breaking up the whole time, but I think you said something about getting into the group. So I know we discussed earlier about some technical issues, but I had no issues whatsoever joining the group.
Okay, am I still breaking up now? Test 1, 2. Am I breaking up still? Test 1, 2. That's no good.
Nope, good.
No.
Okay. Good. Well, Regine, let's not worry about the old participant thing. If you can see us and hear us, we're probably okay that way.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys getting in a little early so that we can, work through some of these lights, camera, action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Regine, did you have any questions for myself or Duarte? Just while we're hanging out here
well,
together?
Being that I'm new to the whole industry and I'm trying to kind of break into HR, I just wanted to know what advice you gentlemen can give me as far as a starting point. I mean, I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to for 7 months, so it's given me a kind of a good overview of HR, and she's had me work with her in the different capacities. But I just wanted to get your opinion as to where could I go from here as far as trying to get myself into the door into a full-time position.
Okay, well, I know both of us will have a response, but take it away, Duarte. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, one, attending an event like this is probably one of the best things that you could be doing. I would definitely join the local SHRM chapter, network, introduce yourself, let people be essentially advocates for you, as you already are doing. So networking, advocate, I would suggest definitely taking on temp or contracted work because that allows you to build your resume. I'll provide my own personal example. So I've been in healthcare predominantly for all my recruitment life cycle, which is a little over 11 years. And so I was trying to explore opportunities outside of healthcare, and everyone really didn't give me an opportunity. So I was networking at an event that was in West Palm Beach. A gentleman that's kind of considered the godfather of sourcing, and I told him a little about it. He goes, well, those people are being short-sighted. He goes, clearly you have the skills. He said, well, my recommendation would you to be is take contract work. So if you want to get into IT, they're going to be more open because they're looking to fill someone to take on a contract recruiter assignment. Do 3 or 4 of those, and you could do anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, and then you build up your resume, and now you can go ahead and pursue those opportunities outside of healthcare. So that was something that I myself was entertaining, was taking on those contract assignments that are going to be within human resources. You'll also see sometimes those positions won't ever get filled. And so they'll take you because they get to know you. People also want to hire someone they like to work with, not just qualifications. Usually that's kind of like the gatekeeper type of method. But beyond that, once they get to know you and they know you can do the skills, they're going to train you regardless of whatever you might be lacking in terms of experience.
Well, I found that true with my experience with Fran, because originally I was supposed to only work for a day, and then it ended up being now 7 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens more often than you can imagine. And I would work with some of those small mom and pop agencies. They're going to know maybe some of the smaller businesses. If you're open to getting involved immediately in a small business, they're going to help you, because a lot of those, again, small businesses don't have a dedicated human resources, or they're looking for someone to come in and help and liaise. And then there you go. Now you got your first opportunity and you can build from there.
Okay. Thank you.
I probably can throw in one or two items too. The big thing in HR is that HR is a big thing. You know, there's more than just recruiting. There's more than employee relations. There's more than applying or onboarding or benefits or there's lots within the institution, you know, that rolls up under an HR department. And really, depending on the size segment that you're targeting, be it you're looking for a big company or a small or a middle, you want to know what your passion is. What is it about HR that you like to do the most? So if I can throw that question out there, would you bring an answer to that at this time, or is that something you're still working on?
Well, I mean, I know some of the things that I've done in my previous job as a clinical coordinator was interviewing and recruiting, like the clinicians and students, and that's something I enjoyed. The staff members, I was the only one who did not have a clinical background. Everyone else was in healthcare, and I worked in business. So having me on the admissions team, as well as having me recruit the clinicians, they thought that was a different twist to it, because I came in with a perspective that a clinician enjoyed that interaction with people and trying to figure out where we want to work with our program. And when I was interviewing the students, I kind of parlayed all of my questions towards their experience and their personality and their interests, not so much all the scientific go to my colleagues. So, I mean, I brought a different perspective, and I like that part of, I guess, my job, which is sort of like HR as far as recruiting and talent acquisition.
So if it is recruiting, that is your passion, let's get Duarte's take on that, because he lives in that more than 50, 60 hours a week. So take it away, Duarte.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how open you are to, you know, a commute, but obviously I just pulled up your LinkedIn profile and I see that you do have your MBA. So look for places that also are very big on education. So Baptist Health South Florida is more than open to exploring and providing opportunities for those that want to break into the field, because they're huge on education. So they weigh that heavily when they're looking. And a gentleman that usually participates in this group is one of the directors of human resources for one of their hospitals. So again, just networking through events like this. If you're looking at recruitment, the other thing that I would also suggest is, and you have some clinical background, is potentially look at staffing companies. So you have, like in Boca Raton, you basically have a hub of recruitment companies, from Cross Country, AMN, American Mobile. So you have probably about 12 or 13 different staffing companies that have headquarters right there locally in Boca, or even looking at other places. Again, that's what they do, is they do staffing and they get people placed.
Now, do you feel that, I mean, I've asked different people this question, since I do not have like an HR degree or any certification, would it be beneficial for me now, or should I wait until I get my foot in the door and see really am glued to and then pursue a certification?
So I have no degree and I have no certifications.
Okay.
So again, that's why I think it's kind of important to get those interviews and to get past that gatekeeper and get people to know you. My director for my VP for my current opportunity that I'm working for, we had a conversation, we hit it off. She knew I didn't have my bachelor's degree, I never completed it, and she hired me as an associate director. I was promoted late last year into the director of talent acquisition. My previous hospital there in Boynton, they required a bachelor's degree. They were looking for someone preferably that was a nurse. They hired me and I was promoted twice there at Bethesda. So I can appreciate that. There are some people that, again, use that more to screen individuals out, which is why I would suggest networking with individuals, trying to find a medium in which that somebody knows somebody there that can make that introduction. That introduction will at least get you a conversation. Unfortunately, there are going to be those organizations that will still do that. So I was at the recruitment trends and technology for 2017. It was actually held here in West Palm Beach in November, right after Thanksgiving. And it was amazing how many people there that are leaders in the space are saying degrees, or people having degrees in certain areas, or even having that is going to the wayside. I found that to be the exact opposite in my own job searches, where I've gotten to basically be the finalist, and even to places where people are extending me offers or about to, and like, oh, we forgot to ask you, where did you complete your secondary education? I'm like, well, I haven't. And they're like, oh. And ghost, then they're gone. Or even following up with me afterwards saying, we haven't found anyone else like you, so that potentially that will come back and make this offer. Again, not hear from them. That happens quite a bit because of education. Mike will tell you, and as I don't allow that to be a deterrent. Don't create your own obstacles. Don't create that mindset. Just understand that you might have to work a little bit harder to get those opportunities because you don't have that. But there's quite a bit of individuals or people that don't have that experience. Participate in events. Again, become a SHRM member. Join the chapter. You do those things, people are going to see that you're already invested and there's a passion. If you don't have that, people will say, well, why do you want to do this? Well, I like recruiting. Well, show me in what ways have you invested in yourself that you like recruitment that much. So when I was looking for new grad nurses in some of our areas of specialty, we'd only hire 4 or 5 new grads and we'd get 60 applicants. We would filter them out. Was for women's services who had a women's services certification, who had worked maybe A1, had a lactation consulting degree, or worked in that field previously. So we were able to knock that down in half. And then from there, we who had 2 certifications in that specialty, dropped it down from there. Okay, so now we have 17 people. Did 17 phone screens, brought in 10 people to interview. From 10 of that, we made a selection of 5 individuals. And so that, unfortunately, it gets funneled down that way. That's why I think, again, it's important to network, get to know people, and to showcase yourself. Some of the things that I was going to talk about here this evening are exactly around that. Using Google Trends, taking a look at Indeed.com, joining Facebook groups, using Textio or JobScan to, again, really put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter and how they search and how they find individuals. The fact that obviously you're on LinkedIn, I think it's important. Over 90% of recruiters say they use LinkedIn to vet candidates. 84% of them use LinkedIn to find candidates. So important being active. Like if you're on LinkedIn, you can take a look at people's activity. What have they posted recently or last? So you could see all activity. So taking a look at yours, it was 3 days ago. You I guess, like something from Dr. George Frazier. So it's good that you do that, but that's the only thing that I saw on there. So find LinkedIn, find recruitment articles, share one. I definitely suggest becoming a student. I'm a student first of how I learn. I go out there and teach myself. I think that's why I have been successful, is I don't have a formal education, but I have become well versed in this field and industry because I do have a passion for it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, gosh, we are, if everybody can hear me, we are, we're at a launch hour at 6:34, I think is what I got. And I guess we have one or two no-shows going on. I didn't make a lot of phone calls prior, so sometimes that happens. I kind of sense, Regine, we might not go a full hour, do a little bit here between you and I and Duarte that could be helpful in, you know, in and around 20 or 30 minutes. So I'd like to also chime in on the recruiter thing but first give you a chance to ask another round of questions. Can you hear me, Regine? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Did you want to start out with another round of question?
Oh, I had another question. Just the different advertisements. How important do you think having a payroll background or knowledge of payroll position? Because I see, as I'm looking through ads, I kind of meet some of the qualifications, but I can never get past the payroll part, and payroll seems to always be a must.
To me, those must be smaller HRs or generalist roles. That's probably a little bit more of an older school mentality, like HR personnel. So personnel, you have to have encompass doing some payroll responsibilities. So for example, my organization, we have a payroll department. So no one in human resources is associated with anything in payroll or ADP. We have an HRIS analyst who works with payroll, but they're exclusive for human resources and they're a human resource function. They're actually not doing any pay edits or anything like that. So that would be payroll. So that to me showcases that it's a smaller organization right off the bat, that they're asking for that level of experience. So in human resources, payroll function is usually left to the side unless it's compensation. So compensation is a function of human resources. Then you have benefits, employee relations, recruitment, an HR business partner or generalist, depending upon what organization where you are and the level of the role and the skill set. So again, payroll seems to be a smaller department. What you want to do though for any job, you want to modify your actual resume for that specific job. What I referenced earlier was JobScan. So you might want to take a look at jobscan.com. Mm-hmm. It will actually scan your resume and you can copy and paste the job posting into there and it will mirror it and it'll tell you what the most frequently keywords are, what you might need to beef up in your resume to be able to better match this job description. It's a small organization. They might not have an actual applicant tracking system, so they might not be using that technology that will provide them a synopsis of keywords and stack rank you as an individual. But as you get into larger organizations, you're going to see that a lot of them do use that type of technology. The other one that I would recommend is Textio.com. It does the same thing, an algorithm. It's a big data company. It's amazing what they do, and it'll help you with your sentence structure. It'll tell you if your voice is female, feminine, if it's too passive or it's aggressive. It'll help you break down your resume and where you need to modify it in comparison to the actual job posting that you've associated with your resume.
That website?
That one is Textio. It's text.io.
Thank you.
Yep, and JobScan's the other one. JobScan also introduced a feature. Some point. I apologize. JobScan also introduced a new tool in 2017 that it'll actually take your LinkedIn profile and it'll scan it and it'll give you insights of things that you could do to improve it.
Okay. That's very helpful. I mean, just from what you've seen of my LinkedIn profile, do you have any recommendations of what I could change or to better enhance it?
One, I would definitely be more active. I would definitely try to follow some individuals in the recruitment field if that's what you're interested, or in the in the human resources field. There's lots of professionals on there that you can go ahead and take a look at that you can follow. I would definitely try to increase your connections. You roughly have about 114. So you might want to go ahead and try to do that.
Okay.
Try to get a couple recommendations. So see if there's anybody that's willing to write a recommendation, potentially Fran. Is she willing to write a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile? So this way it could showcase that. Okay. Take a look at your skills section. You can use up to probably about 55 different skills. So if you go to LinkedIn and you find a job, it's going to tell you how you rank in comparison to the other candidates that may have applied. It'll say in your top 10, top 20, top 100. It'll also provide you an index as to how you match compared to the job description and the skills required for that role. That might help you provide some insight of ones that you might want to build and add. I'm not asking you to falsify or to falsely advertise yourself and your skills, but even if you have topical skills, you might still want to go ahead and add those, because that's going to allow you to be better indexed. So that's basically the search engine optimization. So if someone's looking for someone that has recruiting experience or interviewing, the more times you referencing interviewing or interviewing skills, the higher you're going to rank in their search, and the better they're going to be able to reach out to you directly. And your headline. So you have Masters of Business Administration and International Business. I know this may sound bad because you probably spent some money on getting your education, but it sounds like you're open to some entry-level type of roles into human resources. I may remove your MBA depending on the position and what you're looking for.
When I'm filling out applications, if they don't emphasis on education, I usually put my education at the bottom, or if they do emphasize education, I leave it at top. So I kind of play around depending on what the job is requiring.
So back in 2006 or 2008, really 2007, 2008, I advised a lot of friends of mine that were in the New York area and they were struggling to find jobs that had MBAs. I said, take it off your resume, take it off your LinkedIn profile. Everyone's presuming that you want 90 to 120K coming in, and you're saying you're willing to take a 60 to 80,000 job a year. Either that, they're also going to view you and say that, well, he's going to take this job for $60,000, $70,000, and then the next best thing comes, they're going to run. 4 out of the 5 friends that took my advice all found jobs in less than 60 days. So sometimes because your education, people may deselect you based on that. So I think what people need to recognize, your resume is actually more used as a deselection tool than a selection tool. It's a reason for them to justify and not hiring you for a role. So they'll see your MBA and this position's paying 38 to 45,000. There's no way with an MBA she's going to stay here long term. Next, on to the next person.
That's what someone had told me too. They're like, your education is probably going to. Oh.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword, right? There's other organizations that are going to be looking for that level of experience. Other ones aren't. So you just have to modify it from there and really see what's working for you. Maybe on your LinkedIn profile, you eliminate your master's for right now. And you keep it on your resume for those that have a high level of education, if they make that to be important. You can also do that by taking a look at their career page. Where are they incentivizing people? If you see a lot of incentive on education and people continuing with education, then obviously you want to highlight that, bring that up to the top of your resume versus the bottom. They want to be able to see that. I say the same thing with volunteering. There's a hospital, I think it's McLeod in North Carolina, but they give their employees 3 days off. They pay you 3 days to go volunteer. They expect you to. If you have a lot of volunteer work, you're going to want to mirror that up top, so this way they can identify it. You're a cultural fit essentially at that point.
I'd like to also add, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Test 1, 2. Anybody?
Yep.
No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to also add, many people are looking for this approach to what they put on a resume or their LinkedIn profile, or that approach. But you want to separate into two things. You got a resume or LinkedIn, call that one thing. Other stuff that's important to you, like an MBA, can be brought out in a two-way conversation, maybe during an interview, maybe during a phone screen. Those kinds of things can be brought up. And it's not like just because it's not in your LinkedIn profile or your resume that it's not going to come out as pertinent, but putting the control back into your desk or I think the key thing to consider. Would you agree with that, Duarte?
Yeah. I'm of the motto less is more. And again, I just view the resume as a deselection tool. So the more conversations you can have, then feel it out. You know whether or not to bring up your MBA or to leave it out. You're not lying. You're not bringing it up. Mike makes an excellent point, and I know, Mike, you've told me this before. Don't tell people that you don't have your bachelor's degree. Sell them all the way up there. Want them to want you, and once they get to that point and they really like you and they get to know you, that won't be that big of an issue. But initially, if you don't have any relationships there, optimize yourself or make yourself as visible, and that more people want to have conversation with you instead of less.
Okay. Now, in your experience of you going to meetings, I mean, is it a very large networking source, or is it something that you do once a month or once a quarter? I mean, I'm not familiar with times they per chapter per state.
I missed the beginning portion of that question. Are you talking about the local SHRM chapter meetings?
Are they usually like once a month, or do they have like conferences and things of that nature that they offer?
They're once a month. Mike could probably speak better to that. I think at one point they were like the third Thursday. I know my local chapter in Midland, because I commute into Texas, it's the second Tuesday of every month that they do a luncheon. So most of the ones here in South Florida are evening events. It's once a month, and then they do other meetings. They had the SHRM meeting. It was in May, I think, of 2018 is when they have it there. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's once a month. I think the local chapter isn't expensive. The annual, I think if you do it for 2 years for SHRM, again, I view it as an investment. So I know outlay when you're looking for jobs sometimes is difficult, but it is an investment in you. I think for the 2-year membership for SHRM, it was like $320. Well worth paying. Again, it's over 2 years. You could write it off on your taxes, so you can claim that as an expense. And then you sign up for your local chapter, and it will pay dividends.
Okay.
Here is like $190 for the national membership, and again, we're not on the line selling those, but certainly having an association that you affiliate with will be powerful for building rapport and relationships. Is it South Palm Beach County?
Yeah, mine's probably would be the South Palm Beach County.
So you could actually go to 2 HRABC one, that's the Broward or Fort Lauderdale, as well as the Palm Beach. That could be to a month, though they're separate. Some people go to both.
Okay. Now, if you join the national, can you like flip flop and like say if I were in Texas, would I be able to like go to one of their meetings if I happen to be there on vacation? Let's say that week they were having a meeting. Would that be a problem, or do you have to specifically stick with your chapter?
No, they love that. They love that if you go to different counties or different events. They want that to happen as much as possible.
Yeah, what you do is you end up paying for a single event, so you don't have to be a chapter member. So let's just say you wanted to go to one dinner for HRPVC. You can go as a non-member, but it's going to be more money because you're not a member. So just know that. They discount some of the events that you're participating in because you have joined that local chapter.
Okay. they allow you to flip flop and attend once.
Well, you're welcome to go. You're welcome to go to any of them again, but you're paying the non-member dues to attend. So again, if you plan on frequenting them and going more, especially if you're looking at getting your certification, whether it's through HRCI or through SHRM itself, you get credit hours. So if you went and say you did your PHR or your SPHR or whatever you might want to do, you get credit hours for attending there. So you're able to continue your continuing education to renew those certifications. Keep in mind, again, if you join and you become a member of any of these local chapters, you can join their Facebook group page. They have job postings in each one of these. There's members then now that you can network, so people can go ahead and find you again and see yourself, so they know that you're part of this local chapter. Again, that shows your investment and your passion. Now you can put it on your resume. So you had indicated, well, what do I do if I don't have a certification? Well, you're an HRPBC member. So at least they know that you're participating and you do have that passion. So that might be the quicker, easier way to showcase that your level of interest.
Now, in regards to the certification, is there a particular one that everyone starts off in attaining, or obtain a certification based on their area of interest?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at a human resources general one, a lot less people are doing the HRCI certification, which is SPHR and PHR. They're doing the SHRM certifications. They kind of disagree how they were going to break it out a little bit more into specialties. And so SHRM created their own certification. You can do either one, but again, those are more general certifications for human resources. That is a global. Each specialty, like there's ones for benefits. There's ones certifications for employee relations. There's certifications for recruitment. It started probably the beginning of 2017. It's called ATAP. It's the Association of Talent Acquisition Professionals. I have several friends. I have some people that were actually the founding fathers of ATAP, and that's all about recruitment. So it really depends on where you want to go. I think the safe bet in general is going through a SHRM certification. One, because that's going to give you a global perspective and probably give you more marketing pull, because it's SHRM and people recognize it. So if I went and got my ATAP certification, some people might not even know what that is because they're not into the field that deep. I probably say 80% of human resources professional would have no clue what ATAP is.
Okay. Now, is there a specific specialty in HR that's really hot and trending right now?
They're all really important. I mean, you're just going to see a lot more opportunities in these two areas, benefits and recruitment. Those where a majority of the opportunities are in between those two functions within human resources.
We can add payroll to it too. I mean, in HR, people don't like to recruit. They don't like to deal with benefits administration, and they don't like to deal with payroll. So as a result, size of the company, that would be your more senior HR people. They don't like to do it. So there's a lot of openings in those categories. So if you're looking for kind of ground floor, I wouldn't narrow any of those out.
Benefits or payroll?
Benefits, payroll, recruiting, those are all things that a large part of HR people do not enjoy.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Kind of a bold statement. So, Duarte, what's your take on
that? That is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. I don't know if I would say that people don't like doing them. I think they're high stress positions. And the reason why I say they're high stress positions is because it's sensitive information. You're dealing with people's information. A job search is always private. Your compensation is typically always private. Those aren't things that you share in typical conversations. A lot of people won't. I think that's partly why this group isn't as active as it is. A lot of people don't like to admit that they're searching for a job. That sometimes comes with a negative connotation that something's not working out at their current employer. There's something wrong. I don't view it that way, but
I know that from a lot of conversations for doing this for so long. Payroll, again, you're dealing with people's sensitive information, benefits, it's people's health, people's sickness. So a lot of private information between those. So that, and then I just think for whatever reason, human resources in general has a negative stigma associated with it. And I think it goes back to the HR personnel days where you just have people doing a job that it was necessary, that was almost obligated for larger companies because they needed to do it by law. And so it's the necessary evil. Recruiter is the gatekeeper to my job. Benefits are the people that don't want me to go to benefits. I'm an expense or liability for them. And then payroll, again, it's money. So typically it's been, I hate to say it, lower skilled individuals in the past, but it was more of an administrative duty. And that's how all three of those reviewed as, oh, it's an administrative duty. I could pay anybody to do that. And that's not what it is anymore. If you look at these larger companies, these are specialized roles and people are expanding their education level. So it's partially true. So what Mike is saying is it's bold, it's accurate, but I think that's for the smaller companies. Once you get into the larger companies, I think people really enjoy what they do. I love what I do. I'll tell you, it's this past year I've gone gray because of it, but I love what I do.
Mm-hmm. Now, I notice as more companies are merging or going and getting involved in acquisitions, some companies are outsourcing their HR that you believe might be, continuing more so in the future.
That's any industry. I don't think that's related to human resources. People don't want to hold the bag in a sense. So employees can be viewed by some of the smaller minded organization as a liability. So you're a red line item. I view talent acquisition as a profit center. We generate revenue. When we hire good people, we make the organization money. My CEO now recognizes that. We're getting a lot of tools this year that we didn't have over the past 2 years, but it's taken me 2 years of stomping and proving it and pulling data and showing it and pushing back and saying, okay, and also smiling and nodding. I won't have this tool. I'll show you how it works, and trying to do my best and say, hey, I don't have those resources. If I had X, Y, Z, we'll get there. But with automation and technology, there's plenty of roles that are being automated. You look at enrollment for benefits. Mike could tell you this. I mean, people sometimes don't want to do the face-to-face, and they'll do benefit enrollment, and it'll be all computerized. They make their employees go to a computer and do all the registration online, and there's nobody there. Adversely or inversely, you have companies that are going the exact opposite, recognizing that this is a human function and there's so many questions and there needs to be touch points where they're adding layers of people to be able to provide that better level of service. So it really depends on the organization and where you are. I myself, I refuse to go to an automated cashier. I always go and have a human interaction. That's me. There are a lot of people that are a similar breed to me that refuse automated processes and try to have that human interaction. So
I agree. I'd like to also kind of say, don't be afraid, Regine, to know the size segment of whoever you're talking to. If they represent a company, are they 50 to 100 employees? Are they 100 to 300? Are they 300 to 500? Are they 500 to 1,000? Are they jumbo? Because all of these things that we're talking about is pertinent to the size segment of the employer that you're actually talking to or speaking of or with. So don't be shy about saying, how big is your company? And if they go, why are you asking? Say, well, depending on the size segment, different needs will surface based on those sometimes predictable gaps found inside of their HR departments.
Okay. On international HR, as far as because there are a lot of companies where they hire people from other countries or vice versa. Is that something more popular? Has it kind of slowed down a bit with the economy and the way things are shifting nationally?
I think our current presidency is throwing a monkey wrench in that, just because of some of the ambiguity that's created around even like the H-1B visa status and immigration statuses. So making it difficult. employee just because they're afraid of their status. There was Michigan that basically told 130 Canadian nurses that they were not renewing their TN visas. They said, when they expire, you're done. We're just not renewing them. Again, because of the uncertainty that's associated with what was going to happen with NAFTA, and Donald Trump saying he was going to rip it up. So this is not to get political. It's always uncertain. It depends who the administration is, because everyone has a different view, right? You had Obama, who wanted dreamers and give people the right to be able to stay and continue on with their education doing that. So every 4 years, every election cycle, that changes.
I mean, in your particular companies, do you have a lot of issues with DACA candidates or DACA employees?
Well, so not really, because we use E-Verify.
Okay.
Large organizations are predominantly using E-Verify, and so you're not going to have the undocumented employees. I have a very close friend of mine who's here, worked for Kmart for 11 years, was a store manager, and when they implemented E-Verify, they said something's wrong with your social. Quit her job the next day. 11 years with a company, using someone else's social, not paying into her own Social Security administration, but busting her butt. Has 2 homes as a rental property, helped her sister buy a home, dedicated hard worker. She actually worked with me at a second job that she had, and unfortunately, because she's undocumented, she couldn't continue to pursue her education, just work that job. So it happens quite often. It's sad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kind of jump in as we're at about 7 o'clock, and Regine, so much to say, and you are welcome to give me a call here later this week if there's more questions about what we aspire to do in between these workshops, because there is more that happens that, like I said, isn't just a video call. And please do that if you would. And I want to say thank you, Duarte. I appreciate you kind of clicking in and hanging out with us for a short moment. And with that, if Duarte, did you have any closing words for Regine?
Be persistent. Be professionally persistent. It doesn't always happen very easily. Don't be deterred. Continue what you're doing. Again, ask Fran to continue to help you look at that contract work. Look at all avenues where other people don't go. Mike will say predictive gaps. There's predictive gaps in how people search jobs, and some people don't see those opportunities. So if you have a good company that is sending you out and contracting and putting you places, maybe that's the way that you ultimately get that job that you want.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time, both of you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Mike, you still there? Are you frozen? Well, I think Mike is frozen. Again, I'd like to thank you. Please don't hesitate to network with me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as well. I do a tremendous amount of recruiting on Facebook. You'll see that as a statistic on my LinkedIn profile. My current organization, 23% of our hires for 2018 were directly from Facebook. So don't be afraid to join Facebook groups, follow companies, start learning. There's a heck of a lot of people that are HROS, that's human resources, open sources. They're willing to share information. There's plenty of groups to learn. It's typically my greatest source of reference to learn new things.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will, connect with you on Facebook. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.